Well, hey everyone. This is fantastic. It was funny, as I was driving here today, I was thinking about what I said to you in class, one of the first classes. I said, well, when I look out amongst you, I sort of see this basket of puppies. And we're going to have to figure out how to move this life and this career forward. And we're going to do this together. And hence, this first project, this first show was created. And so I think the very first thing I would like to let you know is you've left the basket, kids. This is really quite beautiful, and this is really special. I also want to thank Georgia Southern University and all the people involved to make this happen. And this is going to be fun. It's informal. I guess my concept of this is that it sort of is reminiscent of a Steve Allen show or Dick Cavett show. Interview, you know, we're going to be delighted to hear some of the music and some of the wisdom coming from Ray Lundy. But first, thank you, my class, for being here, setting this up. This looks really fantastic. So yeah, give yourselves a hand. This is good. A small but mighty crowd. Today, I guess what was happening, like, who would do this? Who's the first person I really wanted to ask to do this? And it was quite easy. You know, I don't know Ray real well. We're sort of new to each other. But immediately, what had happened is I saw his work, and we're doing some stuff together. We're seeing each other in the so-called hallways of music of Savannah. And I said, well, this is the real deal. So let's start this series of television shows with someone that is so rooted into being such an authentic and genuine person, as well as someone who is so rooted in some of the greatest music of our time. It's easy to say Ray is a blues singer, and he is, but when you hear the manner in which he plays guitar and the manner in which he expresses himself and the many tones that come from his voice, you'll recognize that he is connected. And he is, in a sense, bringing some of the past right to this very moment. And, you know, I think that's what a lot of people love about you, Ray. But let's keep this moving. And what we'll do is have Ray Lundy, give him a great round of applause. He'll do a couple tunes for you.
Thanks. That's awful nice. I love you, Ron. That was so nice. That was so nice. But here's something I like to do. See, I like the old songs. Like Ron says, I'm kind of a blues singer, more of a folk singer, you know. I like to take songs and kind of have my own way with them. There's so many good old songs that are just laying around, you know. And I'll give you an example of that. This is actually I believe I picked this one up from Bill Monroe, the great Kentucky bluegrass, father of bluegrass, they would call him, you know. But I kind of have my own way with this little number, and so I play it like this. I'm going back to the country, 'cause I can't pay this rent. Well, I ain't completely broke, but man, I am badly bent, and I don't know. I don't know where all my money went. Well, now I ain't broke, but man, I'm badly bent. Back to the country, I'm gonna be living in a tent. Mama and Pa gonna be mad about all that money I spent. I told them I don't know. I don't know where all my money went. Yeah, I ain't broke. Man, I'm badly bent. I had a lot of money one time, y'all, but to the city I went. I met one too many good-looking girls, and you know that's where all my money went. I know exactly where all my money went. I ain't broke, but man, I'm badly bent. Woo. All right. Thanks, everybody. All right. Good night.
Well, let's start talking a little bit, then we'll get back to some music. How's that sound?
Yeah, all right. That sounds great.
Well, you know, it all starts at the beginning. There's a moment in time your parents meet, they fall in love, and here you are. Mm-hmm. When did that happen? When were you born, Ray?
I was born at a very young age. 1972. I was born in Southern California.
There you go.
Yeah. And let me see. My folks divorced after that, and they had this thing of kind of kidnapping me from the other, you know. So I would wake up in the back of a car on the way to Oregon or on the way to Utah or on the way to Colorado. So when I was a little kid, I grew up all over the West, you know. So.
And in that car or cars, what kind of music was being played?
Oh, wow. My father was the musical one. My father was always there to kind of put some music, you know, in my ears, you know. And he liked old rock and roll, you know, Chuck Berry and, the old rock and roll stuff like that. He liked a lot of old country music as well, so I was exposed to some of that. And he was the first to ever play me some blues music too. And he always made sure that I heard some blues music, and that was getting in there, and that did actually resonate with me. Yeah, so that's.
And was your father a musician at all?
My dad was. He played a little guitar, right. like almost every other guy on the street or girl on the street. They know a few chords on the guitar or something, you know. So he knew a few chords, and it's funny because he would play a little bit of every song, but never anything all the way through, you know. And it doesn't matter if it was How High the Moon or if it was Mule Skinner Blues or Blowing in the Wind or something. He would know a few bars, but you know, just a little bit. So he was the first one to show me a few chords. And kind of take it from there. Yeah.
And then, what age were you when you first held the guitar?
Well, he would have a guitar around the house when I was little growing up, you know, mm-hmm. and I would, you know, kind of bang around on it or whatever. But I didn't really get serious about wanting to play it. You know, it's funny thinking back now. He first got me an electric guitar with an amp, and I didn't know what to do. I really didn't have. I was a little young. My mind was everywhere. It still is, but. At the time, I didn't really take to the guitar. But then he got me an acoustic guitar. And then I discovered Bob Dylan around the same time. So that really sparked something inside me. I was like, wow, what is that? You know, that's something else. And that's where the real inspiration came, was when I discovered Bob Dylan. And I really wanted to kind of move in that direction. So.
And so, as a young boy, did you have other friends approximately your age that played some music? Did you know other musicians?
Yeah, as I started playing, I met some other guys that were playing. Some of them were a little older than me. They'd played a little bit longer than me, and I would watch what they did, and then I'd go home and try to play what they played. And so I'd come back and say, "That's a C chord." They say, "Yeah, it's a C chord." But other finger, okay, yeah, that's a C. Or that's this and that. So, yeah, I'd try to play what they play and just try to practice a little bit.
Yeah.
Listening to those early Bob Dylan albums in my bedroom, try to play along with him and figure out what's going on there. Yeah.
So when you were coming up and you were still in school, let's say grade school, high school, was there an energy to support the arts and artists of all kinds?
Not in my high school.
Right.
No, not so much. I mean, again, it wasn't so much that the school was there to try to cultivate that, but it's just within my friends. I never did well in school. I went to school to hang out with my friends and then not go to school. So.
Well, that just sounds like us in the music business now. We go to a club, have some fun, play some music, eat some food.
Yeah.
Really,
So
not much has changed.
Yeah, I haven't changed since I was a boy, so I'm still doing the same thing, just in a different place, I guess.
Well, that's pretty wild. And so, do you remember your first gig?
Yeah, most of it, or some of it. My first gig was, growing up in the town, we had a bar right across the street from the house, okay? And my dad knew the owners, and he saw that I kind of had a few songs under my belt, and I was, starting to sing and play at the same time, which is a bit of a Mount Everest for me, trying to sing and play at the same time. But I had a few songs under my belt, and one thing or another, it just kind of happened. Says, "Well, Raymond, why don't you bring your guitar over to the bar, and they'll let you play for tips, And my dad would be right there, even though I was, 17. I couldn't be in the bar, but my dad was there, and it was cool, and the owners were cool, and that was my first gig, was just playing for Coca-Colas, and I think they gave me a cheeseburger, and I think I made like $50 in tips, and I've been hooked ever since. Yeah.
When you were doing it, did you find yourself nervous to go up, or were you evaluating your performance? What was going on in your head?
Well, I was a little nervous, still to this day. You get a little bit of the butterflies, which is a good thing, But yeah, at the time, I guess it was a little more surreal, like, I'm not in the bedroom anymore, And now there's, so I just kind of did my thing, and I wasn't very good, but everyone was so kind and so nice. I said, I'd give the kid $1, or something, and try to, so it was really, really encouraging me. And everybody let me do what I was doing, and, nobody booed, Nobody said, all right, knock it off. Look, you might want to learn how to run a shovel or learn something else, But yeah, it was so encouraging. I just kept at it.
And were you, let's say, at that age and moving forward, were you a solo artist for a while before you hooked up with other people?
Yeah. It was just me playing guitar. And, like on a Thursday night or a Sunday afternoon or something, they'd let me come over to the bar and sit and play. And then word got out to some of my friends in school that I was playing at a bar. And, so they thought that was kind of cool, and I thought it was cool too, because I had a gig, And then I met a kid, and he had a bass, but he didn't know how to play it. And so I taught him basically the first few notes on bass guitar so he could back me up. And so then we became really, really good friends. And then he had a friend who played drums. And he goes, well, hey, I got my buddy that plays drums. We could get together, And so that was my first little band, was a 3-piece, We were called Born Too Late. Yeah. Because we played all these songs that were older than us. Even then, I've never really been too attracted to any contemporary music. What always really caught my ear was older stuff, and there was something about it, that wasn't in the modern kind of music that, man, it just turned me on, So yeah, we were called Born Too Late, and we got rid of that name, and then we called ourselves Blind Mellow Jelly.
That's good. And so within the structure of a band, I mean, you were sort of first the source. Were you considered the band leader, or was there a certain democracy within the structure?
I was considered the band leader, and that's kind of how it works. For most of the time in guitar-based bands, the guitar player, the singer is usually by default the front man or the leader of the band. So it just kind of, that's how it happened. Which I wasn't always crazy about, being the one that I have to explain things, I have to make the decisions. I don't know what I'm doing.
And were you the one that had to solicit for gigs?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And it hasn't changed to this day. Even in the band I'm in now, I'm still the guy that's got to book all the gigs.
So,
Which is all right.
Yeah, absolutely. So back then, though, about how old are you? Give or take.
I just turned 50.
But back then, during this first band, how old were you?
17, just into 18 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, walk us through a little bit of, you're going to, first of all, identify a place that you're going to play, and then you're going to find out who books it. Tell me a little story at like 17, 18 years old on how you did that.
Well, see, really, we weren't, I wasn't like on the phone trying to hustle up a bunch of gigs. The sun kind of rose and set on that bar where I could get the gig. And so then my band started getting gigs there too. And so we were really happy with that. And then once in a while, the town would have like the Orange Festival or something going on, or Old Town Days or something. And so we picked up a few things of playing on the big stages in the parks and stuff, some of that stuff. But yeah, during that time, it was really on a very, very small scale. Wasn't really thinking about expanding,
And did you ever think in terms of promotion, or did you ever get in the local paper and things like that?
Yeah, actually, the paper came and did a write-up on us,
Right.
Yeah, that might be somewhere. That might be somewhere still, but yeah.
I know. I mean, sometimes that's simply by showing up and plugging in and making some music, things start to come towards you.
Yeah, they do.
People lean into you. You start to get, this band is playing X, Y, and Z, and you start to develop a bit of a crowd and a bit of some people to come in.
Yeah.
And what kind of money was your band making at that time? What were,
We weren't making any money. I mean, not money. We would make tips. They'd feed us and water us. And maybe, I think at the time, maybe he would pay my whole three-piece like $100.
Right.
And to us, that was like, wow, we are paid musicians. And I figured even then, it was like, well, if you're doing it for money and you're getting paid, they got to call you a professional.
Exactly.
So,
And that's where, yes, but you then could identify with that term, I'm a professional, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is where I'm going.
Right, that's where I certainly wanted to go. Without knowing anything about being professional at all.
Yeah.
It's just I'm making money, so I'm, hey, somehow I'm in the game.
Well, that's kind of it. I mean, it doesn't even require money necessarily to be professional. There's people that get paid a lot of money that I don't think are that wonderful. So,
yeah.
But I'm just sort of watching you walk up through this, because it's in part. It is a unique story, and yet it is part of the story of the development of someone just all of a sudden, there's a guitar, and I'm learning chords, and I'm now synchronizing our way into singing and playing. But there's always one brick being laid at a time. It's like one step, and then the next step, and then that. Because we don't know where it's going, and maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe really what matters is that you're sort of in the moment, in this live moment, being in this amazing space, and then sharing that space with another human being. And that's kind of what's remarkable about being a musician, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And so, let's say we jump ahead a little bit. What's next for you as a musician after 18? What are you doing in your 20s and 30s?
Oh, man, well, 18, 19, 20, I was full of ideas, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going. I just liked to play music, And, things happen, I moved around some more a little bit. My early 20s, I fooled around. I got mixed up and got married. Should have never got married that young. I should have never ever married that girl, but I did. And so I wasn't playing so much music then, and then I'm trying to figure out how to do this, husband-wife thing, and yeah, it just really wasn't working out.
Well, that's kind of interesting, though.
Yeah, so I had gotten away. I noticed looking back, though, and all the times I wasn't trying to play music, or I wasn't actively playing music or trying to share it with somebody, I wasn't happy. And my life wasn't going very well, And then when I got back into music, when I could play music and do that, then the sun came back out, and it was kind of like a validation, like, now you're back on the right path. You're doing what you need to be doing, what you're almost like you're supposed to be doing. It just felt better. It felt right. Of course, I got divorced and lost everything. Awful. But thankfully I was young and I could recover, and I learned some stuff, But then it was after that I decided, I needed to get back into playing music and cultivating that, or recultivating that, or trying to water those flowers and get them to grow again, so. Yeah.
Well, as you know, we've both been around a little while, and even if you're 19, you still have the experience of disappointment, and the expectation isn't met, so forth and so on. But now that you've had some space from that, you just said you learned some things. How do you think that informed you, and how do you think it even created a positive effect for you moving forward, even in the turmoil of a first marriage?
Right. Well, yeah, kind of like I said, it was like, I kind of forgot who the music part of me was, which, if that makes sense, that's kind of the real me. And it's almost like when here I am trying to play it doing something else, it wasn't legitimate, so that's why it wasn't working, But after that, when I got divorced and then went to Las Vegas in my mid-20s, and I tasted it all. It was awesome. I met some really high caliber musicians, guys that were my own age, but man, this one guy's name's Jeff Koenig, one of the most amazing harmonica players I've ever heard. He loved the blues like I love the blues. I've learned so much from that guy. One of my best friends, one of my soul partners in this whole life. We still keep in touch, here and there. But I learned a lot of music from him, and through hanging out with him, he really, really kind of relit the fire, and it was really encouraging for me to kind of get back into playing music and get a little more serious about it,
But how did you come to know that Las Vegas was the next step?
Well, it just kind of happened that way. I was living in a small town, Nevada, bleak, maybe 900 people in the whole town. Okay, small town. So small they had the whole town carpeted. That's how small it was. I'm kidding. But yeah, from that small town experience, trying to live this crappy little life, everything went to hell. So then I had a friend that lived in Las Vegas, and I was like, look, things are going bad. This is, and it started out with, look, I need to get away for a couple days. Can I come and just hang out with you? Come pick me up. And so he came in and picked me up, and one thing led to another, and I had to start a whole new life right there in Las Vegas. But, what was the question?
Oh, no, that was it. That was perfect.
Okay, yeah.
No, that was it. Well, no, because I have spoken to my class, about where you sit, where you stand matters. And if you're in a carpeted city, that pretty much you're going to be the carpet cleaner. But if you all of a sudden shift over to an environment where there's other musicians and people you can grow from and learn from, and just go, in a sense, especially at that age time, just go crazy, really explode, then things are possible. They're just more possible. And that's simply what it is. And that sounds, you learned things, you had friends, you had wild times, you saw things you never saw before. And all of these things affect who you are. I said, it looks like the guitar is the music, it's coming out of an amp, but this is the music. This is where the music comes from. And the more you develop the self, the human being that you are, as you move through experiences and make your choices, then you get to have the color. I mean, I'm sure you can hear what's going on in the style of playing, even the choice of guitar and string material. It all matters so that Ray can be completely identified, in his words, as his truest self. And that's really, there's nothing better than the truest self. We talk about truth, right? It was one of the first things we talked about. You know, I said the truth shall set you free. And in the music, you hear that truth. Matter of fact, let's hear something.
Oh, you want to hear something else?
Yeah.
All right. You know, I told you earlier, I had lunch with a great friend of mine named Anders Thompson, amazing guitar player, amazing guy all the way around. We had lunch yesterday, and we were talking about guitars, actually, and tone and players and stuff like that. And he shared this story about Chet Atkins, amazing guitar player. He was being interviewed, and the guy, I don't know who it was, but the guy said to him, "You get a mighty fine tone out of the guitar." And then Chet handed him the guitar and says, "How's it sound now?" So it's, you know, like he says, it's the whole package. Playing music, it's almost like channeling, you know, or it's trying to get yourself out of the way so the music can really come through, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
Sound like an old hippie, don't I? I'm sorry. All right, take two. Babe, I want you to know. Hey, babe, I want you to know. Where you been doing, you best not be doing no more. Babe, I want you to know. Hey, babe, I want you to know. Where you been giving, you must not be giving no more. I'm a stranger here in your town. There ain't nobody gonna turn me down. They always say, "Hey there, Papa. Hey, sweet daddy." Shop on my side of the street sometimes. Baby, understand. Oh, baby, understand. I don't mean you're no good. You need to get yourself some other man. I'm a stranger here in your town. There ain't no woman gonna turn me down. They all say, "Hey there, Papa. Hey there, sweet daddy." Shop on my side of the street sometimes. Baby, understand. Oh, baby, understand. I don't mean you're no good. Need to get yourself some other man. I don't mean you no good. Get yourself some other man. All right. Thank you, friends. Thanks.
Fantastic, Ray.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So let's see, I'll spin the wheel in Las Vegas. So there you are with a new set of friends and another level of musicians.
Yes, yes.
And this is going to have a profound effect on you.
Yes.
How do you enter, how do you network and get to know these people, and how do your gigs change?
Well, that's all by continuing to do it. You've got to keep out there. You got to keep going. You got to keep keep wanting to do it and keep wanting to meet people and expand and learn as much as you can, you know. And even then, I mean, it was like, you know, I felt at the time like I'm not meeting enough people. I'm not learning enough. Like, you couldn't possibly know enough back then, you know. So really trying to expand, and then you meet. See, in Las Vegas, there's a couple of leagues of musicians, okay? You've got the highly schooled and skilled, the trained assassins, okay? These guys, they can read, they can write, they can compose, they know their stuff. And these are the guys that are playing on the strip, okay, at the good gigs. They're playing casinos, 2 shows a night, and they're making a lot of money. They're also in the musicians union, which is a whole other story, you know. And then there was the league I was in, not playing on the strip, not schooled or skilled. And so I kind of got in with that crowd of musicians, you know. And still a lot of great, like, I started meeting more jazz players, listening to a lot more jazz when I came to Vegas. That really opened up a lot of stuff to me, you know. And then going to different clubs, the North Star Lounge. I actually had a gig there. Other places you might not ever hear of, you know, the Sand Dollar Lounge, the Double Down Saloon, all these other clubs and bars and stuff around Vegas. You know, I got to play those, you know, which was great. And I thought, this is fantastic. Who wants to play at the Mandalay Bay when I can come over here and rock out with the blues band at the Sand Dollar, you know? And so yeah.
Well, it is kind of interesting because I've spoken about this topic in our class. I know those Vegas players. I know just who they are. You know, I used to play a little like that and kind of thought that maybe that was because I had the skill set to do it, but I didn't really want to do that. I didn't want to do those shows over and over again. And yes, there's the big rooms and you play some big names, but wouldn't you say there could be some truth to this idea that are they really outside of a paycheck, which matters, it could, are they really experiencing their lives and music any different than you are? Aren't they showing up and still doing their best and playing what they intend and want to play? Is there really any difference in the hierarchy of it all?
That's a good point, because I don't think there is.
Yeah.
When you're out there doing it and you're playing and you're in that space and you're making it happen, and you're connecting with the audience, you're connecting with your bandmates first, you know, you're keeping you and your bandmates, whether it's the big leagues or just the bar bands, if you're entertaining yourselves when you're on stage, if you're entertained, your bandmates are entertained, you're having fun with one another, then that'll translate to the crowd, you know. That's the magic that happens, you know, whether you're at Wembley Stadium or a Jazz Tapas bar. You know, it's the same kind of connection that you're going for.
Well,
I think,
yes,
you know?
because in part, I mean, especially young musicians, they think there's this path that they need to get to this highest place, this place, and when they get there, it's all going to be so much better. And I've been to some of those higher places, and I can tell you they're not necessarily much better. What we're speaking about is really just not placing any kind of measurement or hierarchy that you're better because you play at that hotel and I'm at this bar. What's happening is there's a space for every musician and every creative person. And if you can kind of just be with that, sure, we want to get better. I practiced today, 2 hours. I'm always trying to get better. I'm never not going to do that. But playing that or getting that check doesn't determine my value. I think that's really what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah. And so what was the move from Las Vegas to Savannah?
Well, I met a young lady who became my bride. Yeah. I met Nikki out there, and she could tell you some stories. I should have brought her today.
Yeah.
Usually I have to let her do all the talking, you know, because, you know, she's the smart one. I'm the funny one, you know. So, but yeah, I met her, and then we'd been together for a while, and decided, maybe we need to get out of Vegas. Maybe we need to go somewhere else and see what's going on. She goes, maybe we could go up. I got a sister that lives up in Bend, Oregon, just about the center of Oregon. God's country, big trees and there's mountains and all this, beautiful place. I said, all right, we'll try it. So we went up to Bend and it was awful. I hated it. After coming from Las Vegas to this little town in the middle of the woods, oh man, it was awful. So yeah, we were there for a few months and then the winter came. Oh, forget it. They get snow, walls of snow. It's ridiculous. So we left. And then she actually picked up, long story longer, she actually got a job from her ex-employer in Vegas. She used to be an office administrator for a drywall paint company. And they got the contract through Del Webb to build the Sun City homes over in Bluffton, the gated community, over there on the way to Hilton Head. Sun City, yeah. So they asked her, they says, and this is great because nobody does this. They say, how would you like to go out to South Carolina, help us get this job going, run the office for us, all the administrative, maybe a year and a half, help us get it going. And if you don't like it out there, we'll move you back to Las Vegas. And nobody does that, So we says, yeah, adventure. That sounds awesome. Let's do it. Let's get a map and find out where the hell South Carolina is, So, and then as soon as we got to South Carolina and saw what was happening over there, we said, Savannah's the place, Savannah's the place, so.
And so how did you integrate and get to know people here? Because now you're a well-established musician here with a very large community.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's a beautiful community, too. So as soon as I got here, and at the job, at the time, I had a job painting houses. And I've painted crappy apartments. I've painted, $1 million homes, custom painting too, So I got a little job out here painting houses. Wasn't happy, but I wanted to check out the music scene. And so went down, like I've always learned from back in Vegas, to go meet other musicians. You go where other musicians go. And usually those are open jam nights. Open mouth night or open mic night or whatever, to go meet some of the other cats and see what's happening. So at the time, Eric Culberson had his jam night going on. I think that was down below where the social club is now, Congress Street Social Club. There was a little, I think it was called Crossroads at the time. This is 2001, 2000 into 2002. So I first heard him play and I was knocked out. I was like, wow, this guy's dynamite. He's got something going on. And so I was intimidated, And so I was shy for a while, but then I got the gumption up, and then, he moved into Savannah Blues, which is used to be in City Market. And the first, Nikki went with me, and I got the courage up to go down, and I'm going to sit in with these bluesers down at Savannah Blues and see what's going on. And it's so funny. It's so funny because I walk in and I sign the paper, I sign the list, Ray, guitar, and those guys made me wait till the absolute end of the night because they didn't know who I was, right? And I'm like, okay, there's a bunch of good old boy network out here. All right, I see how it goes. Fine. So then finally they get me up. All right, you want to do it? Yeah, just let me do one song. And I told him, I says, look, I'm trying to impress this girl over here, man. I think I got a good shot, which is bullshit. But I say, look, I'm hanging out with this redhead over here, and I think I got a good shot, so if I could just play a song, And they're like, hey, all right, romance. Okay, yeah, what do you want to play? I said, I'd love to get it. I want to play Help Me, Darling by Sonny Boy Williamson. Darling, you got to help me because I can't do it by myself, right? So we get up, and I play this one tune, and Eric hears me and says, hey, you're pretty good, man. I says, oh, well, thanks, man. That's nice. And he goes, hey, let me buy you a beer. And then he sits down and starts talking to us, right? And then the jam goes longer. He goes, well, let's play some more. And so I get back up there, I'm playing, and then he tells another guy who's sitting in, he goes, hey, why don't you sit out, let him come in, I'll play, and then everything. And now he wants to play along with me, right? So I was like, wow, that's fantastic. And then before I know it, he goes, well, this is my bar, this is my place, and I booked the bands. I says, wow, well, I don't have a band, He goes, no, check it out. You use my rhythm section, use my drummer, my bass player, come down here and play on Thursday nights.
Boom.
So that's what happened, and so it's been like that ever since. So again, I'm grateful for Eric giving me a chance, you know, and we're still pals, you know. Yeah, it's great.
It's a great story, and we tell stories a little like that. Let me ask you this question, especially when you're just starting out. We both speak of being a little nervous to do things, you know, but
Sure.
what tips you over to say, I'm doing this anyway? Like, I feel a little nervous, I'm a little scared, my mouth is a little dry, I'm last on, I wish I'd go first, you know, let me get this over with. How do you navigate your mind when you have other voices saying you're not good enough?
It's drugs. Just a lot of drugs. Just numb as possible. No, I'm kidding. That's kind of the stereotype, though, right? I mean, especially jazz guys.
Yeah, especially jazz guys.
He's doing smack in the alley. Where's he at? You know.
Yeah.
So you know, but no, not true. You know, that's actually true for some guys. They get so nervous they got to have a couple of drinks before they get up and perform. But for me, it's more about. It comes down to that moment where you got to believe in yourself, you know. And you got to believe in the music that you're playing. You got to like your songs, you know. I mean, if I don't like the song I'm singing, if I don't like it, or if I can't get inside of the song and mean it when I sing it, then I can't sing it. And it's not going to come out very well. And you guys, everybody's going to tell he don't mean it. You know, you can hear it, you know, and then I can hear it. And then I got to live with myself. So I better kick ass. Or at least, you know, something that I can live with myself, you know. Am I making sense? Yeah. So that it's it's do or die. It's get tough or die, like Johnny Cash said. You know, that's another thing in this business. You know, the industry side or the performer side, you got to have a thick skin, and there's no way around that. You got to have a thick skin if you're going to keep on. You know.
Well, speaking of the industry side, have you ever either wanted a manager or wanted to be in the industry in a different way as a recording artist or have management? And what would that look like, and what would that require? What would you look for in a manager, for example? What do you want them to do?
Well, in a manager, somebody like that, you need somebody who's legitimate, somebody who's honest, you know. Somebody who's not going to just, you know, make it all like rainbows and puppy dogs all the time or whatever, you know. You need somebody that knows what they're talking about, somebody you can trust, you know, and they can back up what they say, you know. And me, I've never looked for a manager or an agent or anything else. I'm paying money for that. I'll do it myself. I got a phone. I can email. I can go meet people to face. I'm not afraid to introduce myself and say, how you are you, you know. So, you know, so I've just never really got to that. That point or that kind of interest, you know.
Well, it is interesting, though, but if a person were to be engaged with you, the first thing you said, they'd need to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, and we sort of talk about, you know, that be impeccable with your word, you know, things like this, that these kinds of things actually matter. Because if you are the music and you are the industry, then you need to show up in the most authentic, honest way possible. No backtracking, no backstories, no try to remember what I said to this person or that person. And I stress this quite a bit because we do live in a world in which all humans are inclined to lie about something. But when you're talking about the seriousness of your life and the lifestyle that you're looking to create, you need to surround yourself with people that love you, but love you in the right way and will do right by you, and you can trust them. And I think this community in Savannah, I feel that way around the musicians and the people that I'm connected to. Always no hierarchy, no judgment about this, a killer vibe. I mean, Ray did this concert with a number of Savannah people over at Victory North the other day, and it was a fundraiser. And let me tell you, it was about, you know, in the genre that was presented, it was as good as it gets. And it was a type of camaraderie because all of us are attracted to be in a certain life, a life in the arts, a life in music. And this is kind of what keeps you showing up or showing up to an audition where you're shit scared. You know, you just go, but I'm going to have to do this anyway. whatever way this spins, I'm going to be fine. No bloodshed. And it'll move me forward. Even a bad audition's a good audition. I'm telling you. I've had some stuff, and you go, man, did I suck? I mean, it was
there's a lot to learn there.
A lot to learn there, and then you go, well, let's see, okay, and you still might get the job. You know, you never know.
Well,
Maybe
really,
not-
it's the you can't be afraid to fail. You've got to fail. Just be open and embrace the failures that are going to happen, because it's when you fail and you recognize that you blew it that you can learn. Now you can learn something new. Oh, what I thought I knew, I didn't know. I was very wrong. And if you can own up to that, then you can learn something new and you can do it better, you know? Yeah.
It is true.
That was a dynamite night the other night, though.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was a lot of fun. The thing is, it's friends and family and community, you know? I mean, people getting together, and again, I'm going to sound like a hippie, but people getting together and having some drinks and eating some food and singing songs all together, that's like a holy activity. If there's anything sacred in this world at all, that's it, or certainly one of the very few sacred things we have. People getting together and sharing music. When we're all there, and it doesn't matter where you're from, or what church you go to, or what you look like, or what sex you are, or any of that stuff, we're all there singing the same songs together. Man, that's one of the most beautiful things you can have in this life, and so I think that's what keeps me wanting to do it. And as nervous as I might feel, or what, have a little self-doubt, self-doubt's a bitch. But if you have confidence in yourself because you build your own confidence, you know your stuff before you go in, you know? So that nervousness, even though that's good because it gives you a little energy, but when you know your stuff, and that comes through practice, it comes through failure and trying and trying and trying to get better and better, you know? So just, yeah, keeping it at that, keeping at yourself, on yourself, being honest with yourself. That song's not as good as it could be. You know, Ray, you know it. Yeah, I know. All right. Well, maybe we'll pick another song. Well, maybe you could work on that a little more. You know, you got to have this dialogue, and you got to kind of hold your own feet to the fire, you know?
Well, speaking of holding feet to fire, let me ask you this question. Well, it's a curious question. I have a curious question because when you do this a while, you sort of start with a few songs and it expands until you have quite a body of work. You go, I can play all these tunes, and I can play them in different keys, and I can play them in different ways, and all this kind of stuff. But it's also easy to get comfortable with what you know. And so what does it take for you to say, you know, I've wanted to learn this tune by Janis Joplin, you know, because you hear the voice, right? You go, what if I did a Joplin tune and like kicked ass with that? How do you find and move yourself to expand within your own musical repertoire?
Well, it's just, you know, I guess inspiration is where you find it. You know, creativity is where you find it. Ask me that question one more time,
Yeah,
but in a slightly different way.
Yeah, I will. That's very good for doing that, by the way. Yeah, good. What it is, you know, you have a repertoire of music, and it's inspired, and you learn the next thing because you hear it or you heard it on the radio, where you go, you know, I've been wanting to check this out. What is your process of finding the next tune and continuing to open up and expand your repertoire? Is it identifying a new artist? Is it an old artist, a tune I've always wanted to do that tune by that Johnny Cash, you know, but how do you flip it over to actually make it happen?
Right. Well, it's like I say, the inspiration is there where you find it. I love to listen to old tunes, and again, there's so much high quality music that's out there that's not getting played on the radio. It's not getting any airplay or anything like that anymore, but the songs are out there. That's where I usually like to go look around. If I can find an idea or something that turns me on, or if it's a song, I'll give you an example for this fundraiser we did at Victory North. They asked me to be a part of the show. I says, well, that's very nice. I'd love to. They says, we'd love you to do some Little Richard. And that's not what I would have chose, really, me. Why, you know, and I don't know why they thought I would be the guy for Little Richard. But then I remembered they already put it on the poster, so they better find somebody, right? So I go through and I'm listening to Little Richard, you know, and great, phenomenal stuff. Arguably the man who invented rock and roll to begin with.
That's right.
Okay? That's for another symposium.
That's right. That's right.
But again, what comes to me is like, okay, well, what song, what's it gonna be, you know? And then in listening to some of his stuff, it's the question of, well, I'm not gonna sound like Little Richard, that's impossible, or Janis Joplin, or Roy Orbison, or Pavarotti, okay? It's just not gonna happen. So I'm not gonna be able to do his stuff in his way. I gotta do it in my way. So I gotta figure out how to translate it. And I told the guys in the band that I'd be working with, which, again, high caliber musicians, I was like, you know, instead of doing it the regular way, maybe we could slow it down, make it a rumba, and we put it in a minor key. Like, and are you serious? I said, well, it's just a thought, you know. So, but different ideas, they'll come to mind, like how, because, okay, I could do that song. I could get behind that song, you know. I could do that, okay, but now how can I get that out of me? How can I get the best of that out, you know? And what's gonna work best for the band situation I'm in? And so you heard what happened, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So that was, you know, let's just do it like that, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
So that's how it happens, yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me.
You gotta find out how you can translate it your way. I mean, if it's like Someone in Love, that tune, great tune.
Right.
Or anything, Chet Baker.
Right.
But you know, you've heard it played. You know how it goes. You know how they have their fun with the melody lines and their improv parts and everything. But you've got to translate it into Ron Helman. How am I going to translate this song for everybody else that's going to feel right to you? You know.
And what happens often, especially in the jazz idiom as an improviser, I mean, I improvise constantly on every song, you know. What I really am gotten very clear on is that if I take a regular jazz standard, like I did something the other day that I hadn't done before. Sometimes I wanted to play Girl from Ipanema because I like Jobim, the composer, but it can get like a little wedding songish, you know, it goes out there and I go, man, I can't vibe with that. So I back it up and I slowed this tune down like really slow, almost unrecognizable in a way. And what happens is all of a sudden there's an energy field that's happening in there. And now your improvising is going to be a completely different way to see the song. Because you can't do what you do when you blow over certain things. Now there's going to be longer tones and shaping of sound. And I know exactly what you're talking about. But what happens is it becomes amazingly special. And your audience, if they hear the melody, they go, wow, I never thought of that song like that. And that's, in a way, it's a type of recomposing of the song. You take another look at that song and recompose it a little bit. Now, that leads me, because I actually did that tune in jazz that way the other couple of weeks ago. So now you're integrated into this place, and now you flip over to the other side, and all of a sudden you book bands at Jazzed.
Yeah, that happened.
How did that happen? And do you find yourself being any different because you're on that side of the coin?
No, I don't. Because I'm not trying to be an agent. I'm a musician. You know, I like to help people out, and I like to collaborate, you know, with other musicians and people, you know, all the way. I love bridging people together, introducing people, making things happen, you know. I need a player. I got a player. Hey, I need a gig. Or I booked a gig, but I need players. That happens a lot. Just started booking for the club is because the people that booked me at the club for so many years, they got tired of the guy that was doing it. He wasn't doing a very good job. And so they asked me, they were like, well, you know everybody in town. You know everybody that we have here anyway. Would you do the booking for next to nothing? I says, okay. Because they're my friends, and they were good, and they've always kept me, you know, busy in the club either, you know. But I don't know, you know, booking. I'd never done that before or anything like that. So actually, but I know people that do. So I made some calls, and one of them was Trey Gurley, the amazing jazz player, vocalist here in town, all-around musician, amazing. Anywhere you see Trey advertised, go hear him, go listen, you know. But yeah, he gave me some pointers, and he reminded me. He goes, "Well, Ray, it's not so much about booking, as it's about building relationships with people. That's what you're doing." And I said, I love that guy so much.
Yeah.
I mean, that is exactly what I needed to hear, what I wanted to hear, and that's what made the sense, you know, to me. But as it is, again, I only do the booking for just that one club because I don't want to book a bunch of other clubs. It can be tedious. And then when somebody cancels at the last minute, if you can't find a replacement act, then I got to go do it, you know. So, which isn't always bad, you know. But yeah, that's interesting. That's been like another thing that's kind of happened along the way as just being at it for so long, you know. And keep in mind, I really didn't get serious about performing, playing music, being a full-on musician until we came to Savannah. And I've been full-time just playing music for a living since 2004, you know,
Bravo.
right here in our little town. Now, my wife, you know, Nikki, she's got her job. She has her own little business. She's bookkeeping, you know, stuff. And me, of course, I'm not making a fortune, but we're able to make it, and I'm happy. She's happy, you know, and yeah, friends and family, and there you go. There you go.
So is there a question I didn't ask you, do you think? Is there something burning inside you that I didn't manage to ask you?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe anybody else have any questions?
Well, that's
I mean,
what
you know.
this is. I'm going to segue to
Okay.
that. So I'm going to release this. Yeah, we have some questions? All right. Come on. Whoever has a question, come up here and use this microphone. I think I asked all the questions. Is that what happened here? And that's fine. Huh? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
I said you asked a bit few of them.
Oh.
Just seconding what everybody else said.
Okay, good. Elora.
Thank you again for coming. This has been really fun to put together as a class.
Yeah,
and so I've really enjoyed doing something like this, and hopefully we can do it again in the future. I think that'd be really fun.
Right on.
I am new to Savannah recently. I used to live up above Atlanta, moved down to Statesboro for college, and now I'm in Savannah. And
Okay.
I'm wondering, where is your favorite place to play down here in Savannah, or one you've played the most at, or the most memorable place, or where you've met the most people? Something like that.
Well, I have a few favorite places. And, you know, that's kind of a tricky question for a musician because, you know, you want everyone to like you and you don't want to play favorites.
That's true. But sometimes you
know,
gotta.
and,
You have
well,
some in the back of your mind.
Well, you know, like I say, I like playing at Jazz Tabs Bar. I really enjoy playing there. It's like been a second home. I feel I can go in there and sit down. I know the room. I basically know what the vibe of the place, how it's going to go. I know now I've got a better sense. Okay, what kind of thing I can do in here? You know, I love playing there. I tell you, playing for my friends out at the Seawolf Tybee, that's a nice little gig out there, man. They have me out. They're doing CBGB brunch. You guys know CBGBs?
We do
It was a club in New York City, and CBGB stood for Country Bluegrass Blues. That's what they were going to have at the club, right? So they have their CBGB brunch, and so on one Saturday they'll have a guy come in and play some country music, and then they'll have me on every other Saturday come in and play some blues. So yeah, I love playing out there a couple times
Very
a
nice.
month. That's a real nice
Funnily
place.
enough, I went to see Ron about 2 weeks ago at Jazzed, and he actually got me a job. So hopefully I'll see you soon.
Oh, you
I'm a
do?
new hostess. So
All right.
Yeah. Hopefully,
All right. Well, dynamite.
Yeah. Hopefully I get to see you there soon.
Yeah, I'll see you down there.
Yeah.
All right.
More questions from? Oh, okay.
Otherwise, if the doors are open and they have live music, I probably want to go work there. Yeah, you know.
Okay, well, thank you again for coming. This has been, for me personally, really inspiring as someone who's trying to make it into the industry or music business. So I was just wondering, what advice would you give to like the younger generation that is trying to come up in the music industry?
Advice. It's almost irresponsible for me to give anybody advice. You know, it's kind of dangerous territory. I would say, I don't know if the music industry really has what that future is going to look like. So you got to believe in yourself, and you got to be true and honest with yourself, because you have a future for sure, and it can go any direction you want it to. You know, practice, dedication, every day, time on it, whatever it's going to be, doing it. The one thing you want to do it hard. Do it every day. A little bit of time towards it every day, and it'll grow and it'll get better. But it takes that dedication. And you got to have the wants. You got to really have the desire, and that's what you really want to do, then, you know, it'll happen. It's dedication. It's you know, blood, sweat, and tears, you know, sometimes. But that's what it takes to make something really beautiful, you know. Yeah, just keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is that about it for everyone and their questions? Yes? Okay.
Ask me anything. I'm here a couple minutes. Ask me. You're not going to offend me. You'd have to try pretty hard to offend me. I mean, ask me anything. You know.
Okay, so I'm a guitar player, and I wanted to say, first off, you make it look so effortless, but like you're incredibly deliberate, but you make it look like you're just like doing whatever, and that is a mastered skill. But I was talking to Warsaw when he like was like, Lundy, Ray Lundy, like, and I wanted to ask how y'all know each other.
Ben Warsaw. You know who she's talking about?
We all do.
I love that man deeply. Deeply, I love him. Oh gosh, we have some of the best times together hanging out with Ben. I call him Doc. And when I'm really generous, I'll call him Professor Dr. Warsaw. I really love that.
Mr. Dr. Professor
Again, it's another great example. I love Ben. Well, how do we know each other?
Yes.
His cousin is my drummer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, capital M, capital D, my drummer.
Savannah is too small.
It is like a small town,
It
without
is a
being too small, but it
Yeah.
is like a small town, you know, and that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. It's like a small town without so many small town minds.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we have the college out here and people like you, you know,
Yeah.
trying to make the minds bigger, you know. But Ben, I love that guy. Great example of a musician who's like a trained assassin. That's Ben Warsaw. That's Ben Warsaw, yeah. And he's half crazy. I love him. I love him. These are lovely. I love these, Vivian. Great
thank
job.
you.
Dynamite.
Thank
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
I was hoping I might be able to take the lady in the red dress home with me.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Really?
She's
I
free
would
to
love
go.
that.
Of course. My question is, can you still create music that is positive with a mood that doesn't match it? For example, can you create a love song while being heartbroken? If so, how does your mind process it?
Well, that's the essence of blues music right there. To take something that hurts and to sing about it, you get mastery over it that way. If you can mock it, you can manage it. If you can sing about it, then it ain't so bad. And it's a way of getting over your troubles, you know, when you can sing about it. So it's therapeutic in a way, you know. But that's where so many great songs, oh man. Majority of the songs out there are love songs. Either I'm in love or I lost love, you know, and I'm looking for love again in all the wrong places. You know, but that's the beauty of music, where yeah, out of such pain and heartbreak and just personal devastation, that's where some really, really great music is born out of, you know. And the blues is essentially right there, because it's not about, people say, well, I don't like the blues. I'm not trying to feel bad and feel sad. It's like, no, that's not what it's about. The blues is about feeling better and getting over. The blues is about getting over your troubles and singing about them and forgetting about your troubles for a little while, you know? So, did I answer that kind of?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question. Thank
Any
you.
more questions? Okay. Michael.
All right, so is
Pictures
there-
are $35. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. They're 20. No, I'm just. For you, I like your face. 15.
All right. That works for me. All right. So has there ever been a time when you wanted to take inspiration from other sort of genres and infuse that into your style of playing?
Oh yes, yeah. That's what it's about for me. See, I steal everything, all of it, and I kind of run it through my own synthesizer, if you will, like a Cuisinart. I got to fill up with all these different things, and then I churn them out in my own evil way, you know. And that's again, it's like I might love a song like Janis Joplin, but I can't sing like her, so I got to find my own way of doing it, right? So, but yeah, guilty of all my influences. I try to be as much as possible. I try to just flash them up. I just want to tell everybody about Bob Dylan. I want to tell everybody about Howlin' Wolf and the power of Muddy Waters, and just, you know, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. Giants. We all are. We all are. Everybody that's came before us to pave the way right here. You know, so I have such gratitude for that. You know, and so it's a little bit of humility when you go to tackle that stuff, and you want to speak well and present it well, you know. But yeah, the inspiration from the people that taught me how to play, pretty much, you know, the greats. They're all dead almost, you know. But yeah, you know, that's where the inspiration comes from, is directly from the people that I love to listen to, you know. Did I answer that okay?
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, all right.
Thank you again for coming today. It's been inspirational.
Thank you, thank you.
I am relatively new to Savannah, and I'm a singer. My favorite genre is jazz standards and the Great American Songbook. And I've done most of my singing in churches. I have put together a few programs right now. I am planning a tribute to Doris Day. But I have a couple of questions. I'd like to really form my own band. I've never done that. How would you, and being new in town, I don't really know all the musicians, how would you recommend going about that? I think that's my primary question.
Okay. Well, for me, like I says, if there's open jam nights, if there's open mic nights, that's
Do
a
they
place to
have
go.
open jam nights for singers here?
I tell you what, on Tuesday nights at McDonough's Lounge, Eric Culberson Band, he's still doing the jam night, you know.
Do you have to bring your instrument? Or
No,
do
you
they-
show up and just sing.
Oh,
If
without
the
an
players know
accompaniment?
your song, then I'm sure they'd back you up, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, that, and again, going out and listening to as much live music as you can, and meeting all the players that are playing out there. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of them. There's a lot of great players, you know.
Yeah.
Now, you might not find everybody for a Doris Day tribute the first time out,
Right.
you know, but you keep going out and you keep meeting more and more people. And you'll see the music community here in Savannah is pretty awesome. It's better than it's ever been. In the 20 years I've been doing it, it's better now than it's ever been. And that's even after the pandemic, you know.
I've been working with Roger Moss to help me put together this program.
Roger's Dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, great. He's a great place to start too, because again, everybody knows Roger. Roger knows everybody, you know. So yeah, just getting out there, networking, meeting people, letting them know who you are, letting them hear you sing, you know, and then just supporting other musicians. Musicians will come back and they'll support you as well, you know. Yeah, indeed. And best of
you.
luck. Right
Thank
on.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll conclude in a moment. I think I was talking to Ray about this course and how excited I was to teach this course. And I think today is a really good example of a reality-based idea of how this really works. This is how it really works. at all levels, but this is how this goes down. I think, Ray, what you gave to these students today was just phenomenal. I couldn't be happier than that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Well, thanks. I wasn't sure. All right. All right.
And so I think what we'll do, just so, because I know we have to get out of here, one more song, and then I think we should have like a little bit of a photo session, Ray and myself and the class, and let's get some pictures, because part of this exercise today is what reach do we have with a little bit of footage and some mics and a vibe, like how far can we toss this out and what's going to happen? It's part of what they're in class right now.
Okay, all right.
This is class.
Man, where was this kind of class when I was going to school? When I would
Exactly.
rarely go to school. If it was
Yeah.
like this, I might have hung out longer. You know?
So any other comments or questions? Are we good? Okay, then more music, last tune, and then we'll do
Okay.
a photo shoot.
All right. I should have prepared some questions for y'all. But I'm lazy. Yeah, I put new wires on this guitar for you guys today, and so they're still kind of stretching. And really, it's an honor. It's really nice to be asked to come and speak to y'all today, you know. Thank you again, Ron. I appreciate it. Usually this song is played in parentheses, you know. Meaning, I'm sorry you have to hear me tune this thing, but... All right. I was thinking I'd share with you... Oh, Jelly Roll Morton might be familiar with this one. And he was a piano player, so my version's going to sound really different. You guys want to have a kick? Then go look up Jelly Roll Morton doing this song. My version is much cleaner than his, so, you know. Whining boy, don't deny my name. Whining boy, don't deny my name. Whining boy, don't deny my name. Take it down and shake it like this baby in chain. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't deny my name. Yeah, mama, 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 look at sis. Mama, 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 look at sis. Mama, mama, look at sis. High up on the levee, doing the double twist. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't deny my name. Little sister and a dirty little soul. dirty soul. She's trying to be a bad girl, but she don't know how. Don't deny my name. Don't deny my name. Don't deny my name. Whining boy, don't deny my name. Take it down and shake it like it's baby in shape. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't deny my name. Don't deny my name. Thank you very much, friends. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh, wow. Hey, keep it going one time for the sound man. Nobody ever claps for the sound man. Jacob back here. And we had his friend Drew helping out as well. Thanks, guys. All right. And one time for Maestro Ron Helman. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.